going on, guys? Welcome to the Noob Rebirth. I am Simple Simon. I am your comic book noob. Today's episode is brought to you by one of my subscribers, ICT Vinny. Vinny a couple of weeks ago made an Instagram post, a very fiery Instagram post about something that happened in a story that came out last year, written by none other than the king of controversy, Tom King, and I'm going to talk about that with Mark from Big City today. Today's episode is called Harley Quinn versus the Trinity. Let's do this. Alright, so before we start, guys, if you're on the channel, make sure you subscribe and give the video a like.
What about me?
Sorry.
What's going on? Mate.
Say hi, Mark.
Gee, hi, Mark.
I was getting to that. Mate. You gotta wait your turn, mate.
You already did the intro.
Yeah, I know,
Nah, I'm only kidding.
I know.
I'm not that egotistical.
I know. Let me get some coffee first.
Anyway, he's left me alone with the camera. So here we are, Big City Comics. And we're going to talk about a series that came out, I think, started at the, here he's back. Go.
Back in the Dizzy, right?
Go ahead, host. Take over.
Back before me and this guy were tight, like this is in the early days. There was a little series last year called Heroes in Crisis, written by SUPERRUS's favourite writer, Tom King.
Whose favourite writer?
SUPERRUS. He's one of my favourite YouTubers.
Okay.
It just speaks to me. I love it. Had to include this on the list of favorite covers, even though the writer is. Next one up.
How you doing, SUPERRUS?
Yeah, boy. So there's basically a scene in I believe it's issue 2, where Harley Quinn is cornered by the Trinity. The Trinity are
Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman.
Just testing.
In no particular order, that was.
There's a scene where Harley Quinn basically, I think, I should have reread it before I did this episode, but she's trapped in like a little warehouse sort of thing and cornered, and she manages to outsmart and escape the Trinity, cartwheeling her way to freedom. Now, this is when I was super newbie. I know I'm a super noob now, but this was when I was like fresh, right? I remember at the time I was watching a lot of internet stuff and people were just losing their minds that this happened, just like my buddy Vinny. I actually did a video on Heroes in Crisis. I did a review on the New 50 Noob a long time ago. It's one of my least viewed videos out of all my videos. So I'll leave a link to that if you want to check out the early days. But I want to get your opinion on it, Mike, being that you're a long time comic book reader and you did read Heroes in Crisis. I don't know if you remember it that well, but I guess, I'm sure now that I've refreshed you a little bit, how did that make you feel as a comic book veteran?
What, just that issue?
Just that little thing, just Harley Quinn being able to outsmart.
I didn't really think much of it. I just thought it was a great way to show Harley Quinn has got substance and she's got skills. At the time, I remember thinking there's nothing of it. But I thought like...
so you weren't outraged in any sense,
yeah,
right?
I didn't feel any outrage. I just thought that she took him by surprise. That's how I look at it. Knowing the outcome, I think it needed to be done for the misdirection that they needed that character to give the reader. Tom King writes very cleverly, so but they could have used a different character. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't read it. They could have used a different character, but I think Harley Quinn suited. They needed Harley Quinn to step up in the comics, especially to show that she has skills. You know, smarts. I mean, she's a doctor. She's not a doctor for no reason. Yeah, she's a bit nutty, but she is still a doctor, so she's smart. And she's got skills, as in, you know, fighting skills. No, I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't batter an eyelid, to be honest. So it just showed the reason why she's survived for so long. And she's just not a sidekick to the Joker.
I read it as a noob, obviously, and I just read it for what it was. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
so when I read the outrage online, I was like, wow. I was like, why do you think people get so attached to, I guess, the way characters are?
They get attached to the way things are. Well, that's a long. I guess
it's a long history of you guys being, and I don't want to. I'm going to lose a lot of you, I know, right? You're not going to lose me, but I'm going to lose you probably from saying all this stuff. But I find it fascinating. Look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and it's great that we all have opinions. But it fascinates me why people have some of these opinions.
I don't know, mate. I mean, they're passionate, you know, and sometimes passion can be interpreted in different ways. I might be passionate about something and I might bitch and moan about it, which I've done to you in the past. It might come across as, you know, bitching and moaning, but it's because I'm passionate about something. You know, they're passionate about their characters, they're passionate about, and you know, when something, obviously because they're not in control of that character and they don't agree with what that does, that brings that passion out, you know?
It's very rare where you're gonna get what you want in a story, right?
In a life, buddy.
That's right.
You gotta work hard for it, you know? I always take it for what they are. I mean, at the end of the day, they're writers, and if something doesn't work, they can always write it out of it. You know, example being, you know, Hail Hydra, Captain America. Obviously, there was a lot of knee-jerk reaction to that. Nick Spencer wrote it out in a particular way. I thought that story was brilliant, but I'm an Australian, so I'm not an American, so I didn't take that much of an offence to it.
One thing I actually find very interesting about you, Mark, is that obviously you have been a comic book fan for as long as most people, and a lot of the stuff that, all the online stuff I see, a lot of that stuff that everyone hates, you like. I actually find that quite interesting, and I actually quite like that about you. For example, you like Tom King's Batman, and look, there's definitely plenty of people out there that enjoy Tom King, but I find the consensus seems to be everyone just has nothing but hate for that guy, right? I wouldn't say I love him, but it was all I knew when I started reading comics.
Because Tom King did not write what everyone's used to, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Everyone was used to Batman being a superhero, you know, a vigilante, and that's what Tom King did not write that type of story. Tynion is writing that type of story.
Yeah.
Good versus evil,
Yeah, so for
you know,
me-
that sort of thing.
So-
Whereas, even though there was good versus evil, he still wrote it in a non-superhero way.
I guess what I found interesting about Tom King was I definitely enjoy some of his writing. The Wedding was definitely not a good first issue to read because that literally was the first issue I started reading Batman.
Well,
but after that came the court case one, the Cold Days.
Yeah.
It was a court case drama for 3 issues, and I was like, this is pretty fascinating. I wasn't expecting this, and this
Correct.
was my first attempt at reading comics. And then I guess where I got confused was as the story went on, and it started referring back to the history of Batman from issue 1 and previous generations. That's when I got confused, and I'm like, I don't know Thomas Wayne. I haven't read Flashpoint. I don't know all this stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So that's the point where it got confusing for me.
But this has turned into a Tom King, King
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah, well-
So a lot of people, it was the Nightmare storyline. It went for too long, it was dragging, people were confused, they didn't know what was going on, but it needed that because Batman needed to be broken psychologically. They've already tried breaking his back, and that didn't work. So they had to break him psychologically, and they did. But people who complained about nightmares and, you know, Tom King this and Tom King that, they forget about that gem of a storyline of the War of Jokes and Riddles. What absolutely masterpiece storytelling that was, you know? Like, no one saw that coming.
In fact, actually, a lot of people I find that I've heard that don't like Tom King, they said they enjoyed it up until I think he started doing the whole wedding marriage thing.
Correct. I just love the diversity. That's what I love. Reading the same thing is not what keeps a character invigorated. You know, it's changing it up. You know, they're human like us, so to write them human is good. I mean, that's why I like what Bendis is doing to Superman as well.
Yeah, so that's another story. Like a lot of people I find aren't into the whole Bendis Superman, but you love it.
I love it. I absolutely like it. I just think it's a really tribute to what they did to Superman in the 90s. You know, in the early 90s, late 80s. Like I said, if something doesn't work, they'll just write it out. It's what makes comic books, you know, what we talk about. You know, it gives us discussion.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, what's happening about Batman? Oh, something more crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always a point where you wish that comic books were just common and you could talk about them around the water cooler at work, but you can't. We're a community. Not everyone reads comics. So you can't sit there and at the water cooler on a break and say, "Hey man, did you read the latest issue of Batman?" I wish I could say that and do that.
Yeah.
It's more about what the TV we watch, not what we're reading. It's a different community, and it's one thing I love about being in a community like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the diversity. When things change in storylines, which you should embrace them, in my opinion. Embrace it and see it for what it was, see it for what it is, not for what it was.
Absolutely, and that's how I mean, for me to get into comics so late in my life, I have to take this for what it is, right? So going back to the whole Harley Quinn versus the Trinity thing, my biggest comparison was, I remember watching a YouTuber, his videos were he'd just talk about a book and he'd be sitting in his car just with the camera on the book on his lap, and he tore that issue in half, right, on camera, right? And this is early days. I don't even know if I had my channel yet. I never used to write comments back then on YouTube. I just wasn't that guy. Now I try to leave comments as much as I can. I remember I was like, I have to say something. So I wrote this whole thing about, you know, that I'm new to comics and things like that. And I guess for me to get into comics, you have to let the whole realism thing go, right? Because for me, my biggest comparison was always Batman versus Superman. Who wins? Superman wins.
That's another episode. That's another episode.
He wins all day, every day,
That's another
in about
episode.
a second.
First of all, that's another episode, and that's got to be with bullet point.
But that's
got to be like a whole
a debate.
like a debate, 100%.
But that was always my comparison. Like Batman wouldn't stand a chance in my opinion, but obviously in this world, of course he stands a chance, right? Because we're living in the comic book world. So that's what I found most fascinating about people getting so upset about this stuff. Because for me, I'm just like, it just is what it is, man.
Yeah, correct. And the thing is, when you saw him tear up that comic book, right? Did you think that was a hate thing, or did you think?
Yeah, I was like, dude, that's disrespectful to comic books.
See,
man. Give it to someone. Give it to someone.
Look, but that's he probably didn't mean it in a hateful way, probably in a passionate way. He felt like that the writer absolutely just took a dump on his character. That's a passionate thing. I don't see it more as a hate thing. Look, I didn't see the footage, so I'm just saying from what you're telling me, but I mean, it is a bit extreme to tear up a comic. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a form of literature. To tear up literature, for me, is just a no-no.
That's right.
But, you know, each to their own.
Alright guys, that's all from us today. Thank you for joining us. Please leave a comment and let us know your thoughts on today's discussion. Let me know how much of a noob I am and how I have no right to be talking about comic books. Don't forget to follow me and Mark on social media. Hey Mark, come around and say bye since I was so rude to not intro you before. Bye Mark! No, I want you to do one more thing, man. Bye Mark! I don't know when this video is going to come out.
Hang on.
I don't know when this video is going to come out, but today is Matilda Gothica's birthday, Mark. So do you reckon you could wish Matilda, your biggest fan, happy birthday?
Oh, I've got to come around for this. Matilda Gothica, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Matilda. Happy birthday to you. Hey! Happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. Woo.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.